Good afternoon. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is March 17th, 2026. We are happy to be here. I'm still not feeling that great, and I think I look a little washed out, but that's okay. We're here for the moment. We'll see how long I can take it. So I hope everybody's doing really well. It is a gloriously cold, sunny March 17th. I'm going to look and check. I forgot to check the temperature before I came on. Yeah, it says it feels like it's 19 degrees, but it's 35, but it feels like 19. There's a wind, and I think I shared this before, but I've got my sweatshirt on. 2025 was one of the windiest years of my entire life. Now, I live in sort of a little wind tunnel area, so I expect that. But outside of that area, it is uncanny and unbelievable, and I'm not sure why. I may send a post to our local weather person because she's really smart. She's really funny. She's very sweet, and she usually answers texts, not texts, but like Facebook messages on the business page. And not too long ago, I sent a message and I said, I'm sorry, but is there an earthquake happening? And there was. It was a small one, but she was like, do you want to go on air and talk about it? I said, no. I'm not usually camera ready. And I wasn't about to rush to be on for 2 seconds to say, yes, the earth moved under my feet. And I felt the whole world come tumbling down. There are 2 songs in that one. I don't know if anybody's in the chat. I know Echo had popped in. So I think what I'm going to do is just start. And as people come in, and we'll play catch up. But I don't want to hold up everything just because, I've sort of been still not feeling myself. Karen Suki made it. She's popping in. Hi, Karen. Lovely to have you here. I was just talking about the weather and how cold it is, but I'm not complaining because it is March 17th and happy St. Patty's Day. So one of the things that I did want to talk about and kind of tie up this topic for now, is when we when we talk about decluttering, one of the things that we often focus on is the decluttering of a space, right? A physical space, a room, an office, garage, car, any of those things. And so I would ask you, what thoughts are living rent free in your mind, right? That you could release. What's holding up space in your mind? Is there something that you keep replaying that's already happened? It's done, it's gone, it's over, bye-bye, but it keeps replaying in your mind. And it's living there rent-free, and it's cluttering up the space to allow something new in. And are you really worried about something or thinking about something that you can't really control? It's outside of your control. So I pose that to you, and I'm going to talk about how it's invading my space. And it'll be sort of a really gut-wrenching, honest conversation. But it'd be interesting for those of you that are either watching live or on the replay. Type clear in the chat if you're just ready to release something tonight. You don't have to tell me what it is. Just, are you ready to release something? One of the things that has been taking up space in my head is my last live. last Tuesday. And I went off on a tangent about addiction and my anger and sort of the clutter that it was taking up. Now, I have no control over those people, that situation, that person. So that's the first thing as I'm decluttering. But I think what's been replaying in my head, which already happened, was I felt I was harsh in my conversation about it. And I saw something that Mish posted, I think it's today. You guys will have to correct me, but and it was really just to be aware that until you walk a mile in someone else's shoes, you don't really know what's going on when they're walking through addiction. So that's been taking up space, rent free in my brain, because my intention has never been to hurt anybody's feelings. And it bothered me, and I felt like it did. Okay, you're here. So happy you're here. Thank you for being here. You just missed my own confession. And so now I don't know if I want to repeat it. Absolutely, Karen. I'd love a TED talk about addiction. Cromel, thank you for being here. Look at that. My audience has found me. I know Echo popped in earlier. She's with her granddaughter, so she's going to catch the replay. And I know I look a little washed out and I'm still just not feeling that great. But, and if I squint or, make funny faces, I'm having some lower back pain. So I'm also, ouch. So, so that's where I'm going with this thought about decluttering and holding things that are in your brain that you can't do anything about anymore. So how do you release it? How do you let it go? And what can you do about it? Um, so, part of what I wanted to just say initially today is to anyone on the chat, live or on the replay, if I hurt your feelings because I was harsh about the topic of addiction, I truly do apologize because that's never my intent. And as I said at the end of my live last Tuesday, it wasn't about anybody specifically. It was really about myself and my frustration with my inaction. Though it's not centered around addiction per se, it is centered around when we have the opportunities to make a difference or make a change and we don't. What the hell is it that's holding us back? And that's where I come to the mental clutter, right? It's taking up space rent free. So, what can you do about it? Well, as my friend Cromel might do, you could take pictures. That's a way of capturing the stuff that's occupying your thoughts. You could write it down, like journaling. You could capture it on voice memo and have this conversation with yourself. Who did I spoke to somebody the other day, um, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm so happy to talk to another person because I've just been spewing this stuff out loud to nobody. And it's almost really great to have that come back at you, to have somebody else, have a conversation." And things have been topsy turvy and the world was going upside down. And certain conversations, they needle me. Do you know what I mean by that? Like it's like an annoying itch that you can't. Where is that itch? I feel the itch, but you can't find it. But it's annoying you. And ow, I'm so sorry. Oh God, I'm in pain. But oh great. Okay, I'll take a look at the Karen's recommending a TED talk. Um, Everything You Think You Know About Addiction is Wrong by Johann Hari. And make sure you get the one by Johann hurry. Okay, I will. I promise. After this live, I have to take the dogs for a walk, so I'll definitely um, come back and watch that. Um, yeah, Karen. So you're one of the people that I was, worried that I might have been offensive to. And that's never my intention. But I had been on this tear. Um, and what I think was really interesting was I was at the dog park last evening when someone who is going through a really tough time in his life, um, but I'm afraid of him because he's at a level of desperation. And I was with the dogs and I see him put his bike near the dog park. He took his coat off because yesterday was very toasty in our neighborhood. And he had a bucket and a garbage picky up stick thingy. And he started to pick up garbage outside of the dog park. And I thought, okay, send a blessing to him because his intention is not at me or directed to me. And yes, I feel uncomfortable and I do feel unsafe, but there was no threat. And as I left the dog park and took the dogs for a walk, I really had a conversation with the dogs, so to speak, or myself that just said, you know, I I talk about not being judgmental, and yet I've been judgmental. And I've worked really hard in familial situations not to be judgmental. Um, and part of that came down to the mental clutter that I had no control. And this was the illusion of stuff that was going on in my life. And it's so easy. It is so easy to see where everybody else is flawed. And I'm like, girl, turn that mirror right back on you. And I think that's the thing that was like a reality check. And it was sort of an announcement last week to myself. Um, and it just so happens that, like I said, I've not been feeling all that great. So I've been off of YouTube for, well, since last Thursday, really, when I was feeling blichy. That's a technical term. Feel free to use it, blichy. And I hope all of you are feeling well or better, Carmel. Um, so let's see. So that's really what I wanted to sort of throw out there to you guys. Um, Mental clarity. Karen says, struggling with addiction is what has taught me that you can't know what a person is going through or why unless you have literally walked in her shoes. Yes. Yes. And I agree with that. And I've talked about that, right? And I've mentioned that through Don Miguel Ruiz, and even Mel Robbins and Brene Brown and so many other smart people. You're home. Oh my God, Cromel. Everybody, woohoo! Cromel's home. Yay. And you're feeling great. I am so, so tickled. So tickled for you. Yay, 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 yay. Um, Gosh, that's awesome news because you have been in that damn hospital a long time. So I'm so happy that you are. Well, that's okay, Karen, but that was the mental clutter that was in my brain that really was bothering me. Um that I try to be as authentic as possible. I try to be as real as possible. Um but I also want to own when high and mighty here is walking down the road and oops, I fell into the drain hole because of my big mouth. And it reminded me you have to think before you speak. It doesn't mean you're wrong, but maybe pause. And I talk to so many people. I'm like, pause. You're angry, pause. What is it that you are so upside down about? So when we talk about downloading what's in our little brains, it's write down whatever it is, somehow word vomit or conversation vomit out that's occupying your thoughts. It doesn't have to be organized. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't even have to make sense. And spelling's not an issue, right? Because this is just for you. Just empty out what's on your mind to a piece of paper, to your voice memos, through music or song, whatever, what's the word I'm looking for? Whichever option applies to you. And then kind of look at the topic, the what's occupying your thought at that moment. Can I control it? Can I control whatever the mental garbage is in my brain? Yes or no? Because it's a yes or a no thing. It's not a well, maybe. It's a yes or a no. Can I influence it? Yes or no? Do I need to release it? Yes or no? These are really simple answers. They don't need any what's the word? It's not like it's a la carte and you get to add more crap to the table, right? It's yes or no. Yes, I want that. No, I don't. Can I control it? Yes, I can. And this allows us and me as an individual to pause. Can I control the situation? I can't control other people and their decisions. So, no. Can I influence them? No, I can't. So do I need to release it? Yes. And I would almost piggyback. And what about whatever the mind clutter is impacted you so palpably? Like it was tangible what I was feeling. Why? What was it about that triggered me into my reaction? Right? So that would be it. And then I would just release it. I'm like, I'm releasing this. I can't resolve it. It's not mine to resolve. What I can resolve is my response. And let's be clear and honest and respectful about your response. And let's can't come off your high and mighty horse thinking that you're all that in a cup of tea, you know. So Karen says some art tutorials will have you write down what you want to let go and then paint something lovely over the top of it and watch it disappear. What an amazing concept. I've never heard of that, Karen, and I think that's a terrific idea. Yep. Thank you for sharing it, Cromel. Cromel sharing the link, the GoFundMe for Mish. You're sending it to the same people in this chat, so I hope you keep sending it onto the bigger channels. Yes, I have helped in the ways that I can help. I haven't heard from Mish, so if anybody here has, you don't need to tell me anything personal, but is she okay? And is she in Louisiana? I have reached out to her, but I'm just sending her so much love. She's going through, that trial crap has got to be hard. Can't even imagine. So, in addition to this conversation, I have put a post up for love on the village. Oh, all right, great. I'll take a gander at that too. So let me put that in a new window. And oh, that's beautiful, Richard. Oh, that's beautiful for a village mayor. Somebody's been playing in his new tool that he loves so much. That's really beautiful. That I just clicked the link. I'm so sorry, guys. So I was just thinking about Mish for a second and I lost my train of thought. So let me sort of grab it back. So when we think about making difficult choices that lift us up, it's a teaching moment, right? And it's a growth decision, and it doesn't always feel comfortable because we're stepping out of our regular, um, oh, great news, Carmel. She's in Louisiana and has to testify tomorrow morning. Oh, I'm going to send her so much energy. Guys, everybody tomorrow, um, even tonight, let's just send her so much waves of love and prayers and whatever you offer out there, just send her all that good vibe because she'll receive it. Um, and I'm going to send her a text later and just say, kick some ass because it's what she has to do is not easy. And I've never had to be on stand, um, but I would imagine that it's a scary prospect to be sitting there and having lawyers ask you stuff, knowing that your answers may not always be pretty. But anyway, I'm going to send her tons and tons of love. So many of our choices, many of my choices that have changed my life or will continue to change my life, they have felt like leaving something really familiar, like when I had to leave my home. Setting boundaries, which I've had to do repeatedly in conversations with particular individuals. And that's because they are important enough to me to be in my life, but I know that I have to have boundaries. Most of it is because of me, not because of the other person. The other person is who they are. I have to accept them and love them with their flaws and opinions and whatever it is if I want them to be in my life. But how I respond, right? How I respond, I have to set the boundaries. And when either it's a conversation or an attitude or a behavior that is either being directed at me or just globally, but it makes me uncomfortable, I have to have my boundaries. It's like a mental stop sign. I should write stop right there. Stop. Um, and saying no, I don't know if this is a girl thing or not. So you guys in the chat can tell me. Um, but saying no was not something that I felt like I had an option as I was growing up. You were a good girl. You did what you were told, even if you didn't want to, you did it. I went to school and I was very obedient at the Catholic school for 8 years. And I never said no to the nuns. They asked me to do something, even if it was clapping erasers and I didn't want to get my dress dirty. I did it. And I don't even think I complained about it. You did what you were told. I was a good girl. Um, I think not having the tools to say no put me in very dangerous places as I got older, high school, college, and after. Finding my no was really hard. Now, that also meant hanging out with my girlfriends. If I didn't want to go someplace, but they all did, I didn't say no. I could have said no. They would have said no if they didn't want to go, and there would have been a compromise. But I was afraid I would hurt their feelings or they wouldn't like me anymore, right? So these are things that you sort of grasp onto, in my opinion. I always was a no boy, so I think it might be a girl or a boy thing. And I can't. That's a stereotype. That's why I was asking. I don't want to be somebody who stereotypes, but I don't remember my brothers having that problem. And I don't remember a lot of people having that problem. Some of my girlfriends who I admire tremendously, it's 50-50 actually in my girlfriend world. Half would not even consider saying no. And the other half were very much, well, no, that doesn't make me comfortable, or no, I really don't want to do that. And I was never offended or hurt, but I felt like if I said it, I would be hurting people. That's not their issue, right? This is a Teresa issue. Why do I think that me saying, no, I really don't want to go eat that kind of food again? God, do we have to go there again? In my head, this is what goes through it. crap. Teresa, why didn't you just say, hey guys, can we go somewhere different? We've eaten there a half dozen times. They probably are all thinking the same thing. But no one's good because they like the food. We're going to go to the same place and we can all afford it. So we go to the same place. What's Karen saying? Hang on, Karen, I'm coming in with my glasses. I hear that not knowing how to say or how to protect yourself definitely put me in some sketchy places. Oh my word. I mean, look, yeah, it's probably a conversation for another day, but I am lucky. I could have ended up on a sidewalk somewhere because I didn't feel like I had the right to say no. So I would almost want to pose a question. Let me just think about how I want to say this. Because when I was doing my research about sort of reclaiming my mature voice, one of the things that sort of came across was, have you ever made a decision that was hard but changed your life later? And I can say truly yes, many situations. Selling my house was hard, but it has changed my life. It released a financial burden I never thought I would have. It reduced the stress of having everyone else tell me I had to sell my house. And it allowed me the space to get these two chuckleheads, Luca and Biscotti, and my girl Marley, you know? And I think, it was a choice that my heart knew was the right choice. I resisted it for a long time. So I think that as we try and we think about decluttering, sometimes it's not what's easiest for us to maneuver through, right? And what's the version of me that I'm becoming if I do X, Y, and Z? And that was part of, and I saw Ben type something today. I didn't get to finish reading it. I'll have to go back. He did it on the Village Post, I think, about the fire horse. God, I wish I could remember. It was it was a Benism, and it was pretty funny, but it was really, about this fire horse time period. And that's the Chinese zodiac, right? And I'm hanging on to that um what's the word you want to call it? Um, Analogy, or metaphor or whatever it is, because for me, and we've talked about this, is like shit or get off the pot, right? So, my life is not an internet cafe. I got to get up and move and do things. And I'm not always the best at doing that. I allow sort of the energy to say, oh, you could do that later. Do it later. Do it later. And then, 4 years later, you're like, crap, I still haven't done the things that I needed to do 4 years ago. Kremel says, saying no all the time got me in some troublesome situations. Okay. I'd love to. There's stories behind that one, Kremel, I'm sure. So, it's something that you can sort of stay loyal in the comfort of your everyday activities, but I want to sort of shake that up and be loyal to my growth. I don't want to be stagnant. That's the word I was looking for, guys. It's been rolling around with all the marbles. I don't want to be stagnant. I want to be able to shake it up. And that goes for everything, even with my exercise. Now, I hurt my back, so I have not been doing as much exercise. It's probably because I was doing exercise, and I got a little over enthusiastic with one of my leg kicks. And I'm sure that's what put the kink in the lower back. It will work itself out. But it's been literally a pain in the tushy area, and it's really hurting that lower back. So I would pose to you guys, does the decision to change, to do something, bring you closer to the life you want? Not what other people expect of you, because if you've got a wife, a husband, a partner of some sort, if you have children or parents that are expecting something of you, or you are some kind of force in your community, it's what about you? The decisions that you make, are they bringing you closer to the life that you want? And that's what I ask myself. Are my decisions bringing me closer to the life I want? And I can honestly say that in the past, they have not been, because I wasn't making the decisions, which is also a choice. Not making a decision is a choice. Waiting for life to unfold is a choice. Karen says, with my CFS, if I am feeling enough energy to do something, I don't always want to be doing housework. I am always behind on that. I have to choose how I want to spend your precious time. Amen. And I agree with you. I do agree with you. And I'm fortunate that I'm going to have a friend of mine from high school that I haven't seen in a really long time, probably a year, almost a year. She's coming to my home for the first time in 4 years in this new apartment. And so, as you all are aware, I have a decluttering problem, physically a decluttering problem. And I have also been working on that. And as I'm going through that, I'm like, Teresa, this shouldn't be this hard. You've said this 1,000 times on your channel. You've said it to friends. You've said it to yourself. Pick one freaking damn corner and do that corner, and it'll make it easier to get to the next corner. It's been. She speaks the same language. Hello. So, that's is what I'm doing bringing me closer to my life, what I want. Ben, we were talking about you just a few moments ago, and your comment on the village, I can't recall it off the top of my head, but it was related to the fire horse. And you said something very funny, and I wish I could remember it, but um, I was saying how I'm going to hang on to the fire horse anyway, because I'm tired of, sort of shit or get off the pot. I need to take action. I need to do stuff. And it's very easy. I often get chest pains. This is a mental clutter. Oh my God, does this mean this is it? And like the last 3 or 4 days, it's been really uncomfortable. I've been uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh my gosh, breathe. You know what to do. Breathe. I'm petting my dog for comfort. Because, my inaction is like, well, if I do this, am I going to die? If I do this, am I going to die? Guess what? It doesn't matter. Do I want to go out in a blaze of glory or sitting on the freaking couch? I want to go out in a blaze of glory. So if that means that I am cleaning, vacuuming, dusting, I'm a little leery on ladders unless I know someone's nearby. Just because I'm a little, no, I'm going to use my words carefully. I was going to say that I'm klutzy, but I'm not going to use that phrase. I am challenged with balancing. Does that work? So, Lori's in the house. Guys, if you haven't checked out Lori's channel, please do, because she's got some very interesting perspectives on some of the topics that are similar to what we talk about. But I encourage you to go check her out. So again, and does the choice to create peace, or no, let me reword that. In making the choice, in choosing and making the decision to have the life that you want, does it create peace in your body or tension in your body? Our nervous system often knows the truth before our brain does, our mind does, and it accepts it. So I would almost challenge us, if the choice that we want to make, does it create the peace that we need or does it create tension? And listen to it, because sometimes that understanding, that knowing your body saying, it's creating too much tension, maybe it's not the right choice then. And that's listening to our bodies. It's listening to our nervous system that may have something that's saying, well, do you really want that? Or is your ancestral self telling you that? Are your parental influences telling you that? Are your familial influences, friend influences, spousal influence? Who's guiding you to this? Is this someone else's words or are they your words? And it's sometimes hard to untangle um, whose voices you're hearing, right? I I think, thank you for that choice. That's the other, you know, and creating a new direction, even if you're scared. That's me. Um, it's a teaching moment. And guess what? If I flop, so what? No one's going to die because of a choice I make, because I'm not making those kind of dramatic choices. I'm not making life or death choices. Do I want to teach monthly meditation class? Is not going to kill anybody. And if nobody shows up, nobody shows up. That just means the community that I'm in isn't interested. Um, Let me just pop into the chat before I keep going. Um, Karen says, I have amazing balance. It's under knowing my center of gravity really well. It's not knowing, yeah. It's that center of gravity that gets me every time. I just bought the book When the Body Says No. Who's the author of When the Body Says No? Ben, great news about Kremel. He's home. Oh, he just put it in there. Um, Getting back to that, is that the class where you wanted to watch us? Oh no. So I think Karen, what you're talking about is the hypnosis. That's something different. Um, the hypnosis, the reason why a hypnotist likes to see the face, the body, is because when you're in that reclined position, if you're really still and you're listening to my voice and you're going along, that's great. But if you're listening and you're scratching and you're fidgeting and agitated, that tells the hypnotist, slow down. They're not jiving with something you're saying. So if I'm trying to guide you into relaxation and you're wiggling and can't get comfortable, it makes me pause and I would bring somebody back into breath. That's why it's important to see the body, the face. Um, and Jimena is going to come on. I have to talk to her. But the uh, it's very helpful to me as the hypnotherapist. There were a couple of times where she went really deep, and there were a couple of other times that she was sort of, uncomfortable. And it told me and again, she probably was in a deep, deep place. I just stopped and said, and so now we're going to breathe again. And you know how to do that. And we talked about breathing. And then I went down my path and her body was in a good place. Sometimes our bodies, whether I said something that what she was working through in hypnosis, triggers an uncomfortableness, and that's okay. I remember I was trying to help somebody find something that they had lost. Um, and this person kept getting agitated. And I think the agitation came because of the situation in which the object was lost. And so we did pause. I had to pause. And I said, we're going to go back in time and we're just going to relax. We're just going to breathe. And I went back to, I almost started from the beginning again to relax her because consciously or subconsciously, she was searching for this object as we were going room to room, cabinet to cabinet, pulling stuff apart. And I think the frustration was she really wanted to find what she was looking for. And so that's why seeing somebody helps. No, what I'm referring to is that locally there's an opportunity for me to go out into public and host um, meditations to those in my community. And I have been hemming and hawing about it because I'm afraid, what if nobody shows? And what if nobody shows? I'm going to sit there and I'm going to do meditation for the period of time. And maybe we haven't promoted it well enough. Or maybe because it's for the seniors, I go to the seniors and I do meditation for them at their facility. And maybe so I'm in a poorer community. Um, it's, it's got a mix of people, but not everybody can afford to go someplace. And I'm only doing donation based. So you can come and not pay anything. You could give me 50 cents. It's the opportunity for me to get my face back out into the community because I was out there for a long time. But for a good 10 years, I've sort of been quiet between my mom's death, my death, no, my life, my rebirth, but my health situation, and then selling my home and moving to this apartment and rebuilding my life. I have become more insulated and less social. And so it causes me anxiety. But in our conversations, if I don't do what I practice, if I don't practice what I preach, I'm telling you, I'm telling Mish, go step outside. If I'm not willing to go step outside, well, then that kind of makes me a little disingenuous, right? I mean, who am I to tell you or encourage you to step out of your comfort zone and do something that you want to do, but you're letting the clutter of background noise to overtake you? Well, then I need to, tap out and go do something else or just become a viewer on everybody's channel. Part of this was to build community and to face what causes me not to support myself. I mean, it's great to have friends to support you. I have some great people in my life. They're my cheerleaders. What's held me back every single time is me. Now, did I have voices that were influencing me not to do something I really wanted to do? Yes. Did I let their voices become more important than mine? Yes. 2024, 2025 were really growth years for me to put my voice ahead of others. But now, when I articulate, well, this is really what I would like to try, I could try it and not do it well. Okay, then that would tell me something. It teaches me something. And the same thing would be true of this YouTube channel. If it doesn't grow and it's not really successful, well, that's telling me that, Teresa, you're not resonating with the audience of YouTube. So maybe either change tactics or tap out for a while. Maybe the world isn't ready for you, or maybe people don't give a hoot about what I'm talking about. I mean, I have you guys, so I know there's an audience, but um, uh, it's how do we let stuff go? The real courage, in my opinion, is moving forward while you're afraid. And that's the whole shit or get off the pot thing. That's the whole fire horse thing. Oh, did Ben ever talk about that? I may have missed it. Gabor Mate. Yep. Okay. Ben says, or that you could be patient zero of the zombie apocalypse. Oh, you're funny, Ben. Oh, wow. That is incredible, the meditation. Nobody might show the first few times, but once one person shows up, I think so. And donation based is definitely something I'm going to do. Because for me, I do believe, and we've talked about this, and I probably will continue to, because I remember that my teacher through writings when I was studying Reiki, uh, Dr. Mikao Usui, I may be saying his name wrong, but that's how I say it. He initially gave free healings, and he said people would keep coming back because they weren't making the changes they needed. Once I started charging, they had to own the healing, the changing, because you're not going to pay for something and then not do it. In theory, I mean, many of us have joined a gym, paid for it, and didn't show. But the concept is you're paying for something you're not using. Or are you going to pay and use the techniques that that's the whole concept of even the hypnosis. And when we talk about it, depending on what kind of hypnosis you're coming from for, there's usually a minimum of 3 sessions, and it's over a month span, if you will. Um, the purpose is, if you're not prepared to make the changes, you can come to me all day long and I'll do the hypnosis all day long. You will not improve. If your goal is to quit smoking, lose weight, sleep better, but you're not prepared to make the changes that go along with that, don't do it. It's the same thing. Years ago, somebody very close to me said, look, you can't tell somebody to quit drinking. You can't say you're going to feel better if you just stop drinking. That person has to get to the point when they are ready, he, she, it, they, them, is ready to quit, to stop drinking. I might know that it's killing them. They may even know it's killing them. Until the person gets to the place in their lives where they are prepared, it's not going to happen. Same thing with weight loss, right? There's a lady that had come, not to me. I'm going to sort of anecdotally tell the story. Um, she didn't understand why she wasn't losing weight. You can't leave the hypnosis session and intentionally try to sabotage yourself by eating all the things that pretty much we told you shouldn't be eating. We're encouraging you not to have sugar. If you intentionally, like, F you, I'm going to have sugar, you're not ready for weight loss. If we're telling you to eat balanced meals, even with nutritionist help, and you're not prepared to do that, you're still going to live on Twinkies and devil dogs and yodels and yoo-hoos, well, then, hypnosis isn't going to be for you. Just isn't. So what's your investment in your own healing, in your own change? So that's where I'm going with that. All right, I'm seeing some chat. Let me come back. Um, Starting to look into becoming a licensed hypnotherapist, but I'm also just looking further into it in general as well. Well, I wish you would talk to me, because I have some books I could send you, and we could talk about it. Um, I suggest or post it. Could also have a case of spastic colon and overreactive bladder as well, but I'm not judging. I think I'm missing where that's coming from, Ben. Um, okay. Oh, maybe that is the kind of fire horse it is. Like when you eat super hots and are on the toilet later. Oh my God, Ben. I think you're confusing fire horse and fire hose, Ben. Oh my word. Um, you goofies. So, when we think about being brave and fear, I'd like to ask, have you ever delayed something because you didn't feel ready? Yes. I would ask, what dream or idea have you been postponing? And if fear wasn't part of the equation, what would you try? If you weren't afraid of doing it, what would you try? And I say in the chat, type the word brave if you're willing to take one step towards something new. You don't have to share with me what it is, but just brave. And I'm going to put it in there because now, oops, I'm willing, you know? I'm so sorry I sound like this, guys. It's just the universe. Um, oh, I'm so happy to see this in the chat. It's fun, right? It's you know, fear is not a stop sign. Brave, but I ain't doing the fire hole or fire hose thing. You don't have to. Lori says that's what I keep saying. Be certain. Be certain everything is working on your behalf. From the guru. Fear is not a stop sign. I think for me, fear is simply a signal that I'm doing something that it makes me uncomfortable, but not in a negative way. But I'm the fear of being rejected, and I have to challenge myself to say I'm not being rejected. Not everybody wants to do what I'm offering. Do you want an Italian sub or a Philly hoagie? You know what I'm saying? You're choosing one or the other, but it doesn't mean that you're rejecting it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a choice for people. They're either going to want to come to my meditation or they're not. And P.S., there are other people in my community that are doing that. And the purpose of me wanting to step outside of myself is to build um, familiarity within the community to say, oh, Teresa also does hypnosis. And Teresa also ties in Reiki with her hypnosis. And, the hoagies, but I know it's carbs. I know, Ben. But, you know, instead of saying, how do I change my whole life? What one small step can I take this week? And that's one of the things that even when I was talking about decluttering my space and getting ready to host a friend of mine for a couple of days, one small space at a time and get it cleaned up. And one next step and one next step. So my one step in creating or preparing to offer meditation, I wrote an email and sort of created a proposal to this place that I want to host it. Now they're in the middle of a major move locally, and I actually got to see a warehouse that is being revitalized gloriously because I live in an old mill town in Massachusetts, and one of the people that has a space, she only really does her skill set in the evenings and only a couple of nights a week. She's my next one to write an email to say, I would love to talk to you about maybe renting the space 1 or 2 days a week for an hour or 2 hours. It would have to probably be 2 hours, especially if I was going to do hypnosis. And what's the worst that she can say to me, guys? No. Okay, thank you. But I make it into a bigger and bigger thing of she rejects me, she doesn't like me, she doesn't even know me. So the next thing I would say is to borrow courage from your future self, right? What step should I take? What next step should I take? Karen, I lived in Jersey. The yellow light means go faster. Oh, that's Italian. Venti, venti. I va. Maybe fear is like the yellow light. Do you slam on the brakes or do you hit the gas? That's really funny. Um, you guys are so funny. You're cracking me up. The other thing about fear, and this is stuff I'm studying and learning because I need to understand why I'm always afraid, right? Every new step, every new direction includes and incorporates uncertainty, doubt, and learning. They're not signs of failing, they're signs that I am expanding and growing. And I have, I'm great when I take a class and I'm energized, and, the teacher is pumping you up with all of this positiveness. And if I don't take the step at that moment, that's when I start to sit back and go, I overthink it. And that's part of the cluttering in the mind. So I would like to leave tonight with a question. What if the life you are really meant to be living is just waiting for you on the other side of the decision you've been postponing? What does that do for you? What if the life you are meant to live is waiting on the other side of a decision you have been postponing? Right? I really thought that was a great uh, question. You know, we deserve peace. Our mind deserves the peace. Our mind deserves, you know, is this something I can control? Yes or no? Right? I'll go back to the beginning questions that I posed earlier to you guys. It's kind of like, um, can I control it? Can I influence it? Or do I release it? Those are sort of the three things. And I think when our brain relaxes, the information is stored somewhere else. We don't need to keep all that gobbledygook there. So that's just food for thought. You know what I mean? It's just think about the one thing that you're ready to release and one thing you're ready to begin. I don't want to hold on to all the negative thoughts anymore. I don't want to hold on to the doubts. I don't want to second guess myself because instinctually, intuitively, I have been nudged by the world's energy, the universe speaking to me in the way that it does, to get off my ass and do this because there's a need for it. And I also know the way that I interact is in a loving and supportive way. I don't judge other people in theory, right? Because I initially, when we started this chat tonight, I owned up to, that I still have to work on using my words wisely, responding appropriately. So I think that, as we talk to ourselves and we write it out on paper or we journal it or we photograph it, and what is it? What's the one thing that's going to jive you up? So I just want to check comments. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit slow tonight. Karen says the TED Talk that she recommended is going to line up with this conversation. And I'm going to Richard, are you still here? Could you repost that link, that TED Talk? Ben says, one of the things I learned, hard things feel hard because your brain is growing new circuits. I like that. Lori says, yes, we have all been nudged lately. The world needs each one of us right now. Amen, sister. And I know that is so, it's screaming at me that the world needs this. The world that we're living in has enough chaos. If I can bring 40 minutes of a meditative peace and quiet using especially if I'm doing a guided meditation, I'm using my Reiki and I'm using my hypnosis to allow people to surrender for that time period and allow quiet so they can declutter. Wow, right? Well, we have the link, Karen. Let me just go through the chat. I don't know if Richard's still here. Sometimes you guys go to multiple chats at the same time. I think this is the one Richard posted. So let me copy that link, come back, go here. I think, and I'm going to click it to make sure it's the same TED Talk one. Yes, it is. Okay. So that is the link. So you guys, Karen had shared this TED Talk link about addiction that would also benefit us in today's conversation. So what's a TED Talk? Oh, Lord. If I thought you were serious, you silly gooseball. So I can't believe we're almost at the end. So again, a couple of things as I tie this up. First, don't forget to send Misha really good vibes for her in the trial tomorrow, talking about, her daughter. So send her love, send her light, send her healing, compassion, courage. She is braver than she knows. We all know how brave she is, but we need to send her that. Cromel posted the GoFundMe for her, so that's also in the chat. And I would encourage you to imagine that your mind is a house, and every single one of your rooms is filled with boxes from the past. Where would the new opportunity, the new growth go in that house? Right? Just putting it out in the world. It's a guy named Ted just talking for the TED Talks, sassy pants. So today's Tuesday. I hope to be here on Thursday. I'm still, working on feeling a little bit better, and hopefully some of this pain will subside. But I was able to not wiggle so much. So hopefully my back will also feel better. And I haven't seen a lot of you guys because I've been resting. But as always, I want to encourage you to be brave. It's okay to have the fear, but don't let the fear be the dominant, overwhelming emotion. Don't let it drive your decisions. And I'm talking to myself right now, and I'm looking at myself. Girl, don't let fear drive your decisions. And you are braver than you think. You're braver than you know. And if I could think about the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh had a great quote about being braver than you know. From Christopher Robbins talking to Pooh, and I just can't remember it, but it had been shared with my mom when she was battling her cancer. And my mother was never one as a fighter. She was always in the background and very just reserved and quiet. And that hit her because she knew she was going to be in the fight of her life. And I have kept that. It's upstairs in my house. And and this week on Thursday, it's going to be an interesting day because my dad's not with us and it's his birthday and he'd be turning 84. And, there's changes. And the people that either would have supported me or not supported me aren't here. So I have to be mother, father, daughter, sister, friend to me. I have to be the champion for myself. And I don't want the fear to keep me from being brave and to stepping out. So I hope you guys will also sort of keep me honest and ask me how it's going, because if I don't hear from this organization, this company that I'm trying to weasel my way into, that's going to be up to me to sort of push through and go. All right, hold on. There's some chatting going on. Now what I typed is striking me really funny. Okay, I think I missed it. When Christopher talks to Pooh, it's inspiring. When Ben talks to Pooh, it's crazy. It's so unfair. Yes, Ben, it is. Um, because Ben talks about Pooh. Oh, Lord. Thank you. I do know I'm braver. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your time. I'm truly grateful and appreciative that you're here and interacting and engaging with me. We'll see what, sorry, I just sat into the light, the sunshine, it's popping through the clouds. So until Thursday, I send you with love, with light, with healing, with compassion, with joy, filled with laughter and giggle. May you truly be blessed until we come together next time. And I promise one of these days I'll have my intro and outro ready to be gone, set up and ready to go. But I do need my Mish for that. And she's got some other stuff on her plate. So I send you with love. I send you with compassion. You guys mean the world to me. Until Thursday.